From 1775 to 1783, roughly 250,000 men fought in the name of the glorious cause. 6,800 of them laid down their lives in battle. 17,000 more died of disease, many in British-run prisons. They were farmers, mechanics, school teachers, and merchants. Together, they changed the course of history, not just in their hometowns, but truly around the world. An enslaved worker who purchased his own freedom and joined the local militia. A farmer's wife who dressed as a man and accompanied her husband into battle. A school teacher who volunteered to spy behind British lines. A 15-year-old preacher's son who would go on to write one of the most valuable documents of his time. Stay tuned, we've got a special Veterans Day tribute to the unlikely heroes of the American Revolution on this episode of Bigfoot's Great American History Show. Salem Poor was born into slavery in Andover, Massachusetts in 1747. At the age of 22, he purchased his freedom for 27 pounds, or the equivalent of about $6,500 today. By comparison, that's not quite enough to get you this bicycle. After the outbreak of war, he volunteered to serve in the Massachusetts militia, one of roughly 5,000 African Americans who served the cause over the course of the war. Before long, Poor had won the admiration of his fellow soldiers. Following the Battle of Bunker Hill, several officers wrote a petition declaring that Salem Poor of Colonel Fry's regiment behaved like an experienced officer, as well as an excellent soldier. Records show that Poor re-enlisted several times after Bunker Hill, that he was present at Saratoga, Valley Forge, and Monmouth before his discharge in March of 1780. Sadly, by 1793, he had turned up in a Boston almshouse, or what would be known today as a homeless shelter. In 1799, he spent a short spell in jail, and only 3 years after that, he died. Gone, but not forgotten. On the 200th anniversary of Bunker Hill, Poor was honored on a commemorative stamp as part of the Postal Service's Contributors to the Cause series. Margaret Cochran was born in Franklin County, Pennsylvania in 1751. Orphaned at 5 after her parents were attacked by Native Americans, she was taken in and raised by an uncle. In 1772, she married farmer John Corbin, who, after the start of the war, enlisted in the 1st Company of Pennsylvania Artillery. Like many other women, she became a camp follower, cooking and doing the soldiers' laundry for a living. In 1776, she went full Mulan, dressing as a man and following her husband into battle to defend Fort Washington from a British assault. When John was killed in the fighting, Captain Molly, as she became known, took over working his cannon. In so doing, she earned the praise of several other soldiers for her, quote, steady aim and sure shot. In the end, she too suffered wounds in her arm, breast, and jaw, and counted among the 2,800 men, or rather men and women, who were taken as prisoners when the British overwhelmed the defenses and captured the fort. 3 years later, she became the first female veteran in American history to receive a lifelong pension. Alas, she was never able to use her left arm properly again. She died near West Point in 1800. In 1926, remains from an unmarked grave believed to be Corbin's were moved to West Point, where they were reinterred with full military honors. Yeah, about that. A few years ago, a study showed that those remains were not actually Corbin's, but those of an unidentified male. Moving on then. Nathan Hale was born in Coventry, Connecticut in 1755. A graduate of Yale, he worked as a school teacher until the outbreak of the war, whereupon he promptly joined the Connecticut militia. In 1776, he began serving as part of Knowlton's Rangers. Led by Thomas Knowlton, whom you're familiar with if you've been watching our show, Knowlton's Rangers were a detachment that performed reconnaissance and espionage missions for George Washington's army. Following a devastating loss to the British on Long Island, Washington and his men found themselves dug in on Manhattan, awaiting a British attack. Desperate for more information, Washington made a call for volunteers from among Knowlton's men to gather intelligence on British troop movements. Hale now a captain, was the only man to step forward. "I am willing to be shot," said another man, "but not to be hung." Disguised as a Dutch schoolteacher, Hale slipped behind enemy lines, knowing full well that capture meant execution. The British made their move to Manhattan at Kips Bay on September 15th, and the Americans retreated northward to Harlem. Following the Great Fire of New York on September 20th, the British redoubled their efforts to find rebel sympathizers in the area. The next day, Hale was captured. British General William Howe ordered Hale executed for spying. According to tradition, Hale offered these famous last words at the gallows: "I only regret that I have but one life to lose for my country." Joseph Plumb Martin was born in 1760 in Becket, Massachusetts. Only 14 years old, during the battles of Lexington and Concord, he told his grandparents that he would run away from home and become a privateer unless they allowed him to join the Connecticut militia. His grandparents, who were naturally against the idea, relented under these threats. Teenagers, am I right? Martin joined the Connecticut militia a year later and fought in the battles of Long Island and White Plains before returning home. Suffering from boredom, he re-enlisted in 1777 and went on to serve straight through to the siege of Yorktown. By the time of his discharge, just 3 months before the Treaty of Paris officially ended the war, he was a fully grown man of 22 and had been promoted to sergeant. After the war, he married, settled down in Maine, and raised a family of 5 children. Fortune, however, was not kind to him. By 1818, when he appeared in court to claim a war pension, he was penniless. Thankfully, his pension was approved, and thereupon he received $96 a year until his death. He published his memoir in 1830, but it was not successful and promptly disappeared in the scrap heap of forgotten history. Martin died in Maine in 1850 at the age of 89. But wait, there's more! In the mid-1950s, his memoir was found and donated to Morristown National Historical Park. The book was then published by Little, Brown & Company in 1962 and found new life as a rare primary source from a common soldier in the Revolutionary War. We've put a link below if you want to check out the full text of this book. Let us know if we've missed any of your favorite unlikely heroes by dropping a comment down below. Until next time, this is Bigfoot saying so long and save me a seat at your next campfire.